In recent times, President Traore has faced hits from the West, coup plotters, and those who want to see him fail. But through it all, he has been able to stand strong through his commitment and the support of Burkinabe citizens. Following a series of destabilization plots in Burkina Faso, through Western media and some in the military, citizens of Burkina Faso gathered en masse to pledge their support to President Traore. Specifically, the Burkinabe citizens stormed the U.S. Embassy to protest a damning report published by Western media to change the narrative about President Traore. But what was the report about, and why did the Burkinabe citizens pledge their support to Traore? Let's find out. President Traore has been hit with several challenges in recent times. In addition to combating insecurity and ensuring the development of his country, President Traore also has to deal with people who want to see him removed from power. As you know, Traore alone has faced more than 10 assassination and destabilization attacks, with the most recent one involving the former Burkinabe military junta. The former Burkinabe military junta, Paul Henri-Damiba, orchestrated an evil plan where he collaborated with jihadists to launch an attack in Burkina Faso. These attacks led to the death of several military personnel and Burkinabe citizens. Thankfully, some of the people involved with this plan were caught and an investigation has been launched. However, you need to understand that the purpose of this attack and all the other attacks on President Traore is to create a narrative about President Traore. You see, the media is a powerful political tool used by governments to influence people. Countries of the West, especially the United States, recognize this and have used the media countless times to spread their propaganda, beliefs, and ideas. Not only do they do that, but they also use the media to control the narrative to their own interest. If you go through history, you will observe that all the revolutionary leaders, including those in Africa, who were killed by the West, were first tainted by the media. Let's take Thomas Sankara, for example. Thomas Sankara was one of the greatest African leaders to have ever lived. Everyone can agree that in the few years he was in power, he did a remarkable job in Burkina Faso. He was one of the few African leaders that achieved food self-sufficiency without the aid of external forces in just a few short years. However, despite all he had done, it was easy for him to be assassinated, not just because the West used his close friend, Blaise Compaoré, but because they had created a negative narrative in the media about Sankara. You see, just before he was murdered, the media had begun to circulate articles that accused Sankara of human rights abuse. The media not only accused him of human rights abuse against his opponents, but also accused him of suppressing dissenting views. Guess what? People believed these coup plotters in the media because they had seen Sankara banned unions and free press. But what they failed to understand is that Sankara did as many revolutionary leaders before him had done. Any leader that wants to cause great changes would have to take certain actions that might seem bad to some people, but are necessary to achieve a purpose. Sankara banned unions and free press, as well as anything that might stand in the way of his plans for the complete transformation of Burkina Faso. But it seemed some people forgot his plans and all the great things that he had done and focused on what they felt was human right abuse. This was what made the coup a success, and Blaise Compaoré took Sankara's place to become the leader of Burkina Faso. By creating this narrative, they effectively removed the support of the people from Thomas Sankara. Before we proceed, here is a reminder to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This same tactic was used for Muammar Gaddafi, whereby the media called him a dictator and accused him of suffering the citizens of Libya. The West then used this as an opportunity to take him out. It's this same tactic that is being used against President Traore. You know, fighting insecurity is one of the major reasons Traore took over power. So, the recent destabilization plan was to make it seem as if Traore is not competent enough to deal with the insecurity by increasing the number of attacks launched against the country. If the destabilization plan is not exposed, a time will come when even the citizens of Burkina Faso who have pledged their support to President Traore will begin to withdraw their support, and that will be the time when those plotters orchestrate a coup that would remove Traore from power. But this is just one way that is being used to overthrow President Traore and withdraw the people's support. Recently, Western media has begun to publish articles that paint President Traore and his administration in a different light. As we said, it is all about creating a narrative. Recently, the so-called Human Rights Watch organization, an organization based in New York, published a damning report about how the army in Burkinabe killed 223 people, including children in 2 villages. Now, when you hear something like this, especially when it comes from the leadership of Captain Traore, someone admired by a lot of people, doesn't it create a distorted view of Traore and Burkina Faso? Of course it does. This news makes us feel that Traore might not be who we think he is, and that is exactly the narrative that the West is trying to push. This is confirmed by a statement in the report made by the Human Rights Watch, which we will show you later on in this video. So the West, especially the United States, is trying to push a narrative, but the citizens of Burkina Faso, the people who are truly affected by the insecurity, have pushed back on this narrative. Last month, hundreds of Burkinabe citizens gathered together in front of the U.S. Embassy in the capital city, Ouagadougou, to protest over the U.S. accusations of rights abuses against civilians by the Burkinabe army, detailed in the Human Rights Watch report. You see, after the Human Rights Watch published the reports, the US and Britain urged Burkina Faso's military government to thoroughly investigate alleged killings. In a statement released by the United States and UK governments, both countries stated that the US and UK governments are gravely concerned by reports of massacres of civilians by Burkinabe military forces in late February. So, in response to these accusations, the citizens of Burkina Faso, consisting of shopkeepers and private sector workers, mobilized by the National Coordination of Patriotic Citizen Monitoring Associations, decided to gather together and express their anger in front of the U.S. Embassy. Footage of the protest showed citizens carrying placards that read, "We sovereign people of Burkina Faso demand you leave our territory. Focus on Gaza and Ukraine." According to Soumaïla Nana, spokesperson for the organizers of the protest, it was astonishing that the US and the UK had fallen for the false accusations of alleged massacre of civilians by the army. Another spokesman, Mahamadou Ouedraogo, said, "We have come to deliver a message to the Americans to put an end to these accusations against our armed forces who are defending the country at the cost of their lives." He also questioned, where are these human rights defenders when terrorists are massacring our populations? What are they doing? So, if the citizens of Burkina Faso, people who are living in a country suffering from jihadist attacks, are protesting the allegations made by Human Rights Watch, then there is every possibility that the report is wrong. Think about it. If the report was actually correct, why would the citizens come out to protest against it? Someone might say maybe the military government is trying to cover it up, but that's not true because if you observe the protests, it was not organized by the government. Instead, it was organized by a Burkinabe civil society organization that was concerned about the image that the report gave to the country, hence, the reason for the protest. Now, let's look at the Human Rights Watch reports in detail. According to the Human Rights Watch, the Burkinabe military summarily executed at least 223 civilians, including at least 56 children, in 2 villages on February 25, 2024. They said that these alleged mass killings are the worst army abuse in Burkina Faso since 2015 and appear to be part of a widespread military campaign against civilians accused of collaborating with Islamist armed groups and may amount to crimes against humanity. The report also added that the Burkinabe authorities should urgently undertake a thorough investigation into the massacres, with support from the African Union and the United Nations to protect its independence and impartiality. The Human Rights Watch said that they got their information by interviewing 23 people by telephone, including 14 witnesses to the killings, 3 local civil society activists, and 3 members of international organizations. The organization also reported that it verified videos and photographs shared by survivors of the aftermath of the killings and injured survivors. In addition, the report suggested that the military killed those citizens as a revenge attack against the attacks conducted by the group across the country. It also said that according to survivors, the military accused those citizens of collaborating with the jihadists and killed them for it. However, the authorities in Burkinabe, through its communications minister Rimtalba Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo, have denied these allegations. Speaking to the press, Jean stated that the government of Burkina Faso strongly rejects and condemns such baseless accusations. He also revealed that there was an attack led by jihadists on the 2 villages, stated in the Human Rights Watch report, leading to a legal inquiry into the incident. However, the minister expressed his surprise that, while this inquiry was still going on, to establish all the facts that happened, the HRW all of a sudden, with boundless imagination, identified the guilty and pronounced its verdict. So, how did the HRW get that information as fast as possible? Do you know that this report from the HRW is the same report the organization published about the Burkinabe army in November 2023? Although the figures are different, the Human Rights Watch in November 2023 accused the Burkinabe army of attacking a village and killing at least 70 people, including children and elderly people. And, just like the February attack, the report stated that the soldiers blamed the villagers for cooperating with the jihadists. The question is, where are the proofs of these attacks? Where are the video interviews of the survivors? Where are the pictures? For the authorities in Burkina Faso, the protest by the citizens of the country justifies their claim that the allegations are baseless. If the reports were true, the citizens would not have openly come out to protest. So, we can say that the report by the HRW might just be propaganda by the West to change and control the narrative that the world has about the military government of Burkina Faso. By publishing this negative and damning report, it paints the image that the Burkinabe military is not competent and moral enough to fight the insecurity, and so it will need the support of the international community. This was confirmed by a statement made by the executive director of Human Rights Watch, Tarana Hassan. She said, "The massacres in Nondine and Soro villages are just the latest mass killings of civilians by the Burkina Faso military in their counterinsurgency operations." She then added, "The repeated failure of the Burkinabe authorities to prevent and investigate such atrocities underlines why international assistance is critical to support a credible investigation into possible crimes against humanity." Did you hear that? She said, "International assistance is critical." Human Rights Watch emphasizes international assistance as if the international community is better at protecting human rights than every other country. Yet there have been countless reports of foreign soldiers who come into African countries to help fight insecurity, who engage in crimes such as rape and even murder. It's obvious that the West is not happy with the current happenings in African geopolitics, especially in the Sahel, whereby its influence is gradually weakening and Russia and China seem to be taking over. So, by pushing the narrative that the Burkinabe military is incompetent and needs foreign interference because that is exactly what it is, it would cause agitation both within and outside Burkina Faso for a change in leadership or pressure the government to accept Western help. However, the citizens of Burkina Faso have refused to sit back and accept the narrative. They decided to protest and change the narrative that the Burkinabe military remains dedicated to the fight against insecurity in the country. With this, we can rest assured that the military under the leadership of Captain Traore is committed to protecting the citizens while fighting the jihadists. And we can confidently say that time Western propaganda has failed. The fact is that the citizens of Burkina Faso would not come out to pledge their support if they knew that President Traore was not the right leader for them. But they know and have observed his commitment and dedication to the country, and that is why they decided to pledge their support to him. Now, Traore's dedication and commitment to the betterment of his country is also the reason why the citizens decided to support an extension of Traore's military government. Recall that on July 1st, 2024, the transitional government of Captain Ibrahim Traore came to an end. However, in a rare show of support, citizens of Burkina Faso gathered again at the municipal stadium in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, to pledge support for the extension of Traore's transition period. This is historic. The truth is that it is very rare for citizens in African countries to come out en masse to demand that the current ruling government continue to rule them. In fact, in the last 2 decades, it has never happened. But in Burkina Faso, this is what is happening. The interesting thing is that the thousands of people who gathered were not only Burkinabe locals, they also included activists and visitors from neighboring Sahel countries. This means that those people who think that Ibrahim Traore was the one who probably pressured the citizens of Burkina Faso to come out and support him are dead wrong. He cannot influence people from outside Burkina Faso if that were the case. These people, including activists within and outside Burkina Faso, came to support Traore because they knew how committed and dedicated he had been to the country. Thousands of citizens came to support Traore, yet no Western media carried this news. Why? This just proves the point that these media platforms are used by the West to control the narrative of African countries to suit their interests. Imagine if it was the reverse, that instead of the citizens gathering to support Traore's government, they gathered to demand an end and the swift transition to civilian rule. There is no doubt that Western media would be the first to carry it and spread the news. Indeed, President Traore is a remarkable leader whom every other African leader should emulate. His dedication and commitment to his country are a testament to his passion for the growth and development of Burkina Faso. And the fact that the citizens of Burkina Faso are pledging their support to him means that he is the true democratic African president. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.